Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful webinar where we will take you through the actual definition of collaborative leadership as we have tried to bring it together with the research committee and all the partners within ELNE. We have a nice program for you, and that means that first you will have a short introduction by our research committee on the definition and how we actually worked. And then after that, we will go in breakout rooms, and the different groups like the parents, the students, the teachers, the school heads, others, we are in different rooms and we can discuss both the definition and the questions that will be posed. I'm very happy that you're all here, and I would like to remind you at some rules. When there is the presentation from the research committee, your camera will be off and your microphone will be off. When we go to the breakout rooms, that will be different. The plenary session will be recorded, but in the breakout rooms, there will be no recording, so you can really feel yourself free to speak freely as it is. I would now like to give the floor to Alessandro Arienzo. He will introduce himself and then give an introduction on the theme of today. I wish you a beautiful webinar, and we see each other by the end of the afternoon again.
Thank you, Petra, and nice to see all of you. Alessandro Arienzo from University Federico II in Napoli. I'm a professor in political philosophy and history of political thought, but also dealing with a lot of activities in education and indeed educational leadership. I'm part of the research committee, and I'm very happy and proud to be with you this afternoon. So just to introduce briefly our work, I will share, if I can, a few slides and comment with you those slides that are the results, very much synthesized, of the activities of the research committee within ELNE. Indeed, I guess all of you know what ELNE is. It's a network, a huge one, as you can see from these slides. It's a network that brings together over 60 partners organizations from 27 countries, a huge significant network, very varied and complex, comprised of policymakers, practitioners, parents, students, and researchers. And all of us are dedicated and engaged on enhancing collaborative and educational leadership with the aim of improving the learning outcomes of students. And students must be intended in a very broad and comprehensive way. So ELNE is also a platform for education and training sectors, representatives, in order to make our voice heard in European policy making. The research committee, few words on the research committee. What is our role within the ELNE activity? Basically, it's planning, collecting, analyzing, and presenting existing and inspiring, we hope that are inspiring showcases of practices and research that I think can help us discussing and working together, and then also developing collaborative leadership in education as a research phenomena in the content, indeed, of ELNE. The definition that we are proposing you and we want to discuss with you of collaborative educational and school leadership. We've been working quite a lot on this definition. We know that it's not perfect. We know that it can be enhanced, and we want to enhance thanks to your observation and also our collective work. But I think we have done somehow a good work up to now in trying to find a definition that it's not existing at the European level. A common framework and a common definition is still missing. And we hope that ELNE can be such to propose a definition that it's really a groundbreaking one from a theoretical point of view, but also from the practical point of view. So what we think a definition of collaborative school and educational leadership could be, respecting the national competencies that we know are indeed so relevant in education. Well, collaborative educational and school leadership is a multidimensional process we propose it to think about collaborative educational school leadership as a multidimensional process. So it's something that it's in the making, in the way of doing it, in which actors that are indeed relevant, but can be policymakers, school leaders, teaching and non-teaching staff, students, parents and researchers indeed, but also the community as a whole, is engaged in reflecting and also decision making. With the aim of fulfilling an educational mission that we all share within our institution and in the system, the educational system overall. What we strive for is protecting education as a public good. We want to foster democratic values through collaboration within our system, and indeed supporting mutual respect and trust, common missions that we have, and shared values that belong to all of us through collective agency, acting together with the goal of serving the community, all the community. In our work, we have focused on some dimension. You will see the document, you will read and go through the document that we have prepared, that it's broader than what I'm presenting you. We try to focus on 4 main dimensions: culture, collaborative education and school leadership signifies the values of openness, trust, in order to facilitate decision-making that should be based on transparency and dialogue. We really share and care about dialogue and being transparent and sincere in this, working together through dialogue. Structures, we need frameworks that are resilient and sustainable, based indeed on democratic values, inclusion, participatory principles that has to ground the activity that we do together. Resources, in order to achieve collaborative educational and school leadership, indeed, we need resources. Those resources can be very different: organizational resources, institutional resources, indeed physical, logistic resources, and also time, education and training. If we want to achieve collaboration, we should not take for granted that people know how to collaborate. Indeed, we do it every day, but doing properly means also to be trained, to dialogue, to discuss with the others, to listen and to work with the others. So it's something that we really care, and we should take care of as an activity. Access to information and resources for all the community participating in a collaborative effort for education and leading together a community. Dialogue, that's what we need. And we know how much it's important, dialogue today in the difficult times that we are living in. So to make through dialogue all the participants, all the community engaged within educational institutions and the system overall. So if you want more information, you can visit our website, and indeed you can go through all the documents that we are prepared. Everything that we share is something that we really want to discuss, and we are ready to come back to what we have done to enhance it through your observation and suggestion and advices. So hoping not to have taken too much time, we have a lot of work to do, and rather than listening to Arienzo, I guess you would more like to discuss all together on this co-definition and the dimension that this definition implies. So thank you, and let's start working all together.
Thank you, Professor Alessandro Arienzo. I see the screen is still shared, so we can stop that. Let me further introduce the other people that will lead you to today. As presented, ELNA is a broad network with a lot of educational organizations engaged. And today there are the 5 lead partners that you will meet in the different breakout rooms. That would be EFI, the employers organization. There is EPA, which is the European Parents Organization. There is OBESU, which is the student organization, European Student Organization. There is ETUSE, which is the Union Collective for the teacher organizations. And in the end, there is also ESHA, the European School Heads Association, where I am your host today. And my name is Petra van Haren. But the others will, of course, introduce themselves when we go into the breakout rooms. Now, I'm not sure what you see on your screen, because I see a black screen with Alessandro Arienzo on it. But in a few moments, there should be a screen visible for you where you can see the different breakout rooms. And all the participants can choose for themselves to which breakout room you will be going. So as soon as you see the breakout rooms, you can choose your group. So the first breakout room is the education employers and policy makers. That would be EFI. The second room is teachers and other educational staff, which would be ETUs leading. The third is the school or educational ESHA. The fourth breakout rooms is the parents and civil society, which will be led by the European Parents Association. And the fifth breakout rooms is the room with the students, which will be led by OBESU. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to see you again. What we were going to do now is that from each of the breakout rooms, we will have a short summary what was said, and what the time allows us, we can still respond to that. I would like to start with the students. I'm not sure who was the one taking notes there, but I gladly give you the floor on a short explanation what was said in your room. Daniele, it's you. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much, Petra. Valentina was taking minutes in our focus group, but I would like to bring you back our discussion. We had a very quick start icebreaker with some experiences of how students collaborated or not collaborated with other educational actors. But we found a certain alignment of the definition with mainly the objectives of school student unions. Participants stressed how the definition has, for them, from their perspectives, more of a normative character, as it captures an ideal, whereas the reality of collaboration is not the same for everyone. For example, Lithuanian partners expressed how actually the definition captures their reality pretty well, and expressed like particular relevance of the dimensions of time and common ground and values. However, there are some differences. The definition doesn't capture a reality that is true for everyone, especially when it comes to policymakers, educational policymakers. Students feel they don't trust them, they don't care about their voices, and this clearly points to a lack of a common ground, a common culture of collaboration. A very interesting element that I would like to stress was more of a structural characteristic of student unions, which is a high turnover, which sometimes pose a challenge for other educational actors to collaborate with the student leaders. And another important challenge that was highlighted was that sometimes policymakers struggle to collaborate with the educational community because there are divisions within the educational community. So to sum up a bit the students' messages to policymakers, there are many, but for sure, one important element is that we need a change of narrative over how over what students leaders are. They are also educational leaders. Policymakers need to understand that, and indeed, for this to happen, there must be structures that support the establishment and the functioning of student unions, because without resources, they really struggle to even achieve, to even make the first step of a collaboration. And again, there were so many examples of how policymakers at national level mandated structural collaboration, including with students, which could be replicated elsewhere. And finally, yes, the training element was highlighted as a dimension of collaboration that is often forgotten, as not every educational actors collaborate the same way, have the same way of collaborating with other people. And so therefore, emotional intelligence, intercultural training, these kind of transversal relational competences are also needed. And that would be all.
Yeah. Daniele,
if there
yes.
is a mistake, my participants can also raise their hands. Thank you.
No, well, I would like to make the round time, and then in the end we can respond. I would go to the teachers now. I think you had a very important discussion as well. So please, who takes the floor for you?
I can quickly summarize it. Hello, colleagues. So in our group, it was not really teachers only. There were lots of different stakeholders included. And one of the questions were exciting because we discussed that if the definition of collaborative leadership, which we propose, would be the 10, the maximum, the best system, in which stage the colleagues who were in our workshop would identify their system or school institutional leadership, and it would be quite low, so 3, 4, and 5. And it means that there is a lot of systems, education systems, which are very top-down, very rigid, does not provide really possibility to the stakeholders to develop, to collaborate, to learn about collaborative leadership. This is cultural. This is also a problem of identifying the responsibilities better, different profiles better. There was one comment, how to link more to university research, to school practices and policy making. And the question should be how to identify who is responsible for this. So it's not only about collaboration and democratic decision making, having time and resources of sitting together and discussing, but it is also about defining responsibilities and to be trained about how to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. I saw in the chat, by the way, a thank you that it was very great to discuss in smaller groups, which I can only support a lot because I think that is very valuable. I would now ask the employers, who would be your person who makes a summarization of what was done?
It was
summary,
Mikael.
sorry.
Mikael is there. Mikael, are you there?
Oh, he may be there, but I think...
Mika was in parents group with me. So we were in parents group, not employers group.
No, but Mikael somewhere was with me, and he was.
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
Yes,
I'm
Sorry,
I'm here, but
please
I
take the
understood.
floor.
I understood Mika from Finland instead of Mikael. I'm sorry very much. Here I am.
I was shocked,
yes.
Mikael. I was shocked.
Same for me. And I thought, well, anyway, maybe something has changed in between.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I thought what I have now done.
It's very collaborative leadership.
Go
here.
on, Mikael.
Here we are.
Mikael.
Just to report that we had an amazing discussion with some questions that were put by Daniel. And as a summary, to wrap up our discussion, I would say that we found more challenges and questions than answers. We initially started with a question, how to make collaborative leadership operational in employers, relationships, institutional dimensions, and others. But we immediately went into a reality. And the reality is that maybe the question is not how to make it operational, but to what extent is this concept rooted in the institutional culture. So we started from there, and little by little, we moved into defining and clarifying the challenges that collaborative leadership finds to be implemented in an institutional dimension. We were talking about a leadership 1.0, the basic leadership instead of collaborative leadership. This kind of leadership that includes a simple distribution of roles, a bureaucratic management, few innovative initiatives. And we also stated that we mustn't take it for granted everywhere, because maybe we could have the impression that this leadership 1.0 is only present in universities or ministries, but also some local cooperative examples were given. And in these examples, this lack of collaborative leadership also was a big concern. We also were just comparing the situation among different countries. Differences between countries matter when dealing with the definition of collaborative leadership that we are dealing with our network, ELMI network, and some voices from Poland, Czech Republic, Ireland, also Spain, where Hungary, Italy were just providing ideas and notions on that. Some basic ideas that also were mentioned regarding these local national approaches. One is that collaborative leadership involves a big responsibility, mutual understanding between people with different institutional cultures, and that sometimes both the leadership culture and the structure rely on a single person. We talk about collaborative leadership, but at the end, there is one single person who is taking on the position of leadership, and this is difficult to deal with for collaborative approaches. To what extent are institutions capable of promoting a collaborative culture with the contribution of several participants? And there were also some other voices who stated that sometimes the issue is not what kind of leadership is implemented, but if there is leadership or not. Because sometimes the conflict situations don't clarify what kind of leadership or who is leading that role among the conflict and the mess up situation in a social or in a social conflict on that. More important to finish this general approach, just to say that some other voices stated that the scope of decision making should be related to the scope of responsibility. And these things are not always related to each other. And thinking on collaborative leadership, it is something to take into account, as well as the accountability or quality assurance processes to achieve it. That we also mentioned the leadership sometimes from the university is not easy to implement it, to bridge the gap between the academy and companies and the labor sector, that there is a big space for experiencing and promoting collaborative leadership over there. And finally, we finish with some lovely words coming from Ireland that reminded us the importance of listening to everyone, that the starting point of a collaborative leadership is listening to those not always heard sectors of our school community, our educational community, such as families or students. Paddy Lavelle from Ireland was clearly providing food about that and the importance of this issue on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mikael. Sorry, you were out for a moment, so I'm sorry that I was interrupting you because I didn't hear you. I would like to go to the room of the parents. What was discussed there? I'm not sure who will take the floor for the parents.
Yes, thank you very much, Petra. It will be me, Aria, from the European Parents Association. And we had a very interesting, but also a very deep discussion actually on the definition. And some positive examples, not only from European countries, but even going out of Europe to even South Africa. So that was a very interesting conversation, I think, and I hope also for all the participants. We found some commonalities. Everybody agreed that actually the definition as it stands aligns quite well to what we wish for. There were some suggestions for modifications that we will discuss, I guess, in the next lead meeting as well. Some of them were of a technical nature, like saying that one of the sentences is too long and too complex, and it might be better to split it up into several parts. And then there were some substantial suggestions for bringing in a more learner-centered approach to also bring in the aspect of co-creation and not only collaboration. Actually, it was a very positive group because contrary to what I've heard the colleagues tell about their groups, the people in my group all came up with very positive examples, actually. Unfortunately, those positive examples are not mainstream. That might be the downside, but the positive examples do exist. And I think it would be wonderful if we could upscale those and make them more mainstream. Yeah, so I've taken a lot of notes, and I think Paz, who has supported me in this role, and also Mika, who was there from the research side, we have taken good note of what people told us about positive examples and how they came about. And I think we can all learn from them, integrate them into this project, and maybe redisseminate, redistribute, and encourage more people to engage in collaborative leadership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arya. Last but not least, from the school leaders, Monica.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Petra. Monica from the European Federation of Education Employers. I'll be reporting back from the group where we all welcome the definition. We believe it's very robust, capturing all the nuances and sensitivities of different stakeholders. We also discussed that this is highly relevant and timely topic, almost urgent from both community and family perspectives. We agreed that there are some shared common challenges, including the communication challenges, but also diverging stakeholders' interests, with each of us coming from different background and seeing things through different lenses. But we all agreed that, framing the education as a public good, supporting democratic values is of utmost priority, particularly in those turbulent political times. We also mentioned that distributed and collaborative leadership can definitely be operationalized on the ground. Here we heard some voices coming from Bulgaria, Portugal, but also Italy. However, we need to keep in mind differences between countries, as Mikhail already mentioned. For example, in Bulgaria, there is a prevalence of hierarchical structures in the classes in schools. There's difference between rural and city and big cities. So that also impacts the implementation, if you'd like, of the definition in practice. Now, what we also mentioned is that operationalizing this collaborative leadership definition definitely requires mutual trust, shared vision, collective agency and values. And that also is important in relationship to the whole school approach, where all the stakeholders are involved and valued. In terms of concrete actions that could take place to make it more implementable within this political context and for better dissemination, one of the ways that we thought could be interesting is indeed sharing wider the policy recommendations done by the ELNA network, not only with the European policymakers, but also with those who have tangible impact at the negotiation table, and perhaps an action plan and how to take this forward for the next steps within the ELNA network. So colleagues from my group, please feel free to intervene if I have missed anything. Thank you very much.
I think you've done fine, Monica. Last but not least, I would like to invite you to have a group discussion, but in a very different way. I would like that everybody takes at least 30 seconds to think very well, what was the most catching, impressive, or maybe shocking thing you heard today? And then take 1 minute to write it in the chat. So not a little word like, hey, thank you and goodbye, but really what was impacting that you heard. And please write it down in the chat so everybody can talk together, only it is written. And then we get back to you in 1 minute. Please take your time. So while some are still writing, I will read a few, like I would like to add from our discussion that there are some countries where collaborative leadership and democratic governance of education and schools can be unwelcome concepts for political reasons. I saw more remarks about the different political situations coming by, because that really seems to make a big impact in our times. The difference between the micro level and the macro level. Thankfulness for the vivid and deep discussions that we had, and a lot of food for thought, the different perspectives when you're a student, or things can be different. As a parent, things can be different again. The things that were also said about how you interpret, I'm not sure where I saw it, what does a word mean to you? A word like democratic value or a word like collaborative leadership in your context can mean a lot. I think we have a very, very rich collection here of inputs that we can really use to not only enhance our definition that will be useful, but most of all also support the discussion and the next step on how we can bring this further in the field on all the levels that we have. We have about 30 seconds left, so it's up to me to thank everybody so much for being here and for giving all the inputs that you did. It's very valuable that we discuss together, because we are an example of collaborative leadership doing what we did today. And I hope that people can see that if we work together always as we did today, we make step forwards as it is. I thank you very much, and I hope to see you on the next webinars of the ELNA webinar month, both this year and the next year. Thank you so much, and hope to see you again. Bye-bye.
Hang on,
Thank
hang
you.
on, hang on.
Bye.
Sorry, Daniel. Sorry.
I have to, because this is the last webinar of the European Education Month. So, yes, before you leave, please bear with me, because I have some announcements to make. So just a few points. Thank you very much, Petra, for leading this webinar. Thank you very much for all the people that have participated in these 4 webinars. We have been really working tirelessly at FE's team together with the leadership team to actually make this all happen. I wanted to thank you, Sylvia, and the entire team of the Secretariat of ELNE for making all the technicalities, all the preparations, all the papers, everything in place for us to actually enjoy this. And I also wanted to invite you all to a conference. We are having a conference on the 7th of May in Brussels about collaborative leadership within the framework of ELNE network. So please be there. Please be there. We still have some free spots available. So if you are interested in this and you want to talk about this, what should be the operationalization of this process, please join us there. Now, a few points at the end. We just a few examples or few ideas for the future that have been sort of emerging from this discussion. We talked about the framework for action, a document that could operationalize the collaborative leadership. We talked about some kind of a tool or a training maybe for making collaborative leadership a reality on the school level or a system level. And that is something we would like to look into in the future within ELNE. So I think that the conference will be an occasion to start discussing those things. So those of you who can do that, join us 7th of May in Brussels for the in-person conference of the ELNE. And at this point, I wanted to thank you everybody for all the participation and all the work that has been put in. All the case studies, inspiring case studies that we have received, all the research papers we have received. This network without your involvement could not take place. And we're really thankful for your time and effort. See you in Brussels on the 7th of May. And now,
thank you. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.